I set up this is what I call a kit page. Well, not what I call it, it's actually called a kit page. And this is basically a list of all the headphones that I consider are the best for listening to lossless audio. Now, you may notice that there are only wired headphones in here, and there's a good reason for that. You see, wireless headphones, which are usually Bluetooth, they do not support lossless audio. And a way to explain this is when there is a wireless connection between your computer or your mobile phone and your headphones, imagine there is an invisible pipeline that transmits the audio data from whatever device you are listening into your headphones. Now, this pipeline may be of a certain thickness, and it is a set thickness when it comes to Bluetooth, meaning that there is a set bandwidth. Now, the amount of information on a lossless audio is actually too big for this tiny pipeline to consistently travel, meaning that if you wanted to listen to lossless audio on your wireless headphones, no matter what brand they are, it would need to travel in chunks. Now, you don't want to listen to your music in chunks, obviously. That is why only a wired connection is able to keep up with the amount of information in lossless audio. Now, I tried to make that explanation as simple as possible. Let me know in the comments if that was clear enough, or I hopefully did not confuse you any more than I should have. Now, really trying to keep it simple. Now, let's move on. Another thing that you might notice when we go further in the list is that there are some devices called DACs or amplifiers. Now, the reason is that most of these headphones are high-end headphones. They have a high impedance, which is called. And this basically means that the volume from normal devices, even a computer, directly to the back of your computer or to the headphone jack port of your laptop, or even your mobile device, if it still has a headphone jack, the volume is too low when you connect these types of headphones to these devices. Now, the DAC, which stands for Digital Audio Conversion or Convert, which is basically an amplifier in the sense that it basically, among other things, of course, it amplifies the volume so that the headphones can be listened to at a proper volume, meaning that you get the full rich experience of whatever it is that you're trying to listen to. Now, another thing to note from all these headphones is that most of them are open back, and there is a reason for that. You see, the best sound or the best listening experience on a headphone is perceived when you are using an open back headphone. Now, the difference between open back and closed back is obviously, like the word suggests, that open back headphones have like a grill or maybe some sort of way for air to vent in and out of each of the cups, of the ear cups. Now, the positive aspect of this is that the sound is going to be dispersed or spread out. They call it a sound stage, and the sound stage basically means how spread apart you perceive the instruments to sound. For example, in an open back headphone, you will feel or you will perceive like the instruments, like the guitar is somewhere around the room, and then the drums are another side of the room, and then there's a violin on another side, and so on. You feel like the instruments are spread, and it almost feels like you are in the middle of the band that is playing the music. So that makes for a much better listening experience. The downside of open back headphones is that there is a lot of sound leakage, meaning that people who are around you will be able to listen to, and if it's music, it might not be that bad or that big a deal. But you might be listening to something that other people don't like, or maybe you want to listen to some music when your spouse is sleeping and you don't want to disrupt them, and privacy reasons and whatever. So that is the one drawback of open back headphones. Now, the closed back, such as this one, there is no ventilation, there's no way for the sound to leak, so that's the positive thing. You will not have sound leakage. Now, the so-called negative is not a big deal, but the soundstage is not as ample or it's not as wide. So all the instruments, you will still have complete clarity in high-end headphones. Even when they're close back, you will still have complete clarity, meaning that you can distinguish between instruments, and you have this amount of detail in high-end headphones. But the soundstage is not going to be as wide, meaning that most of the instruments are going to be listened right next to your ears. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not as enjoyable as listening to music, to good music, on a wide soundstage, which comes with an open back headphone. Now, again, I'm really sorry if I confuse you something with that or some with that, but I'm trying to just explain it in the simplest way possible. Now, a link to this kit page is going to be down in the description below, and I do have to give a disclaimer. Now, all of these links are to Amazon, and if you would happen to buy any of these headphones or DACs or amplifiers from this page, I might get a small commission at no extra cost to you. So you win because you get an awesome item, Amazon wins because they make a sale, the seller wins because they get profits, and I win a small commission. So it's win, 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 win. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that sometimes many items in general, not necessarily the ones in this list, but when you are browsing within Amazon, you may get an extra discount when you are an Amazon Prime member. So if you are not still a member, I will drop a link in the description below so that you can sign up for the trial of the Amazon Prime membership. So I really recommend that you try it if you are not yet a member. Now, I have included several budget ranges, and at the end I am leaving what I'm calling the baller edition. So without further ado, let's get to seeing what headphones we have in this list. So the first one being the Philips 9500, the SHP 9500. Now these ones are the most economical, the most budget friendly, the cheapest of all of them. They have a very nice look, as you can see, and these are also open back, like most of them will be. Most of the ones in this list will be. And what you need to know about this one is that even though the price is very low for high-end, high-end headphones, I don't know why I use the air quotes. They're not bad headphones by any means. These are excellent headphones. What I'm trying to say is that even though the price is relatively low, don't let it fool you. These are really, really, really good headphones. They have a very low impedance of 32 ohms. I'm trying not to use too much technical jargon. So basically what this means is that you don't necessarily need a DAC to be able to enjoy these headphones. These will be able to work just fine with most smartphones that still have a headphone jack, with pretty much any computer or any device to which you can connect it should work pretty fine. Of course, you will get a better experience if you also add a DAC to it, but a DAC is not necessarily required for these headphones. Now, the next ones that we have in the list is the slight upgrade to the 9500. This is the 9600, and these are a little bit more expensive. However, there is the added benefit that this one is a bundle that includes a removable microphone, so you can use this as a headset as well in case you need to, or in case you want really to use the same headphones for your meetings, for your Zoom meetings or online chats or whatever. Even for gaming, these are excellent for gaming. So the microphone is removable and you get an amazing experience. Some people say that the sound is only slightly better than the 9500. So and also you can get this microphone on the 9500, so it's not really like a point of decision if you really want a headset. So something to keep in mind. Now the next one on the list is the Grado SR80x, and this is a very nice pair of headphones. It has a retro look. It is still on the somewhat affordable side of headphones. They are also open back just as the 9600 and the 9500s, and these are regarded as having excellent sound for the price. Now, I guess you could say that they are comparable to the 9500s and the 9600s. Some people actually prefer these ones. The one thing that I would mention is that these look not as comfortable as the previous two, so that's one thing to keep in mind. But these are actually super good headphones. They have excellent rating. One thing I did try very hard is to include only headphones that have a rating of, I don't know, 4.5 or better. So as you can see, this is another excellent option in my opinion. The next item on the list is the Audio-Technica AT-M50X, which are actually the same ones that I have right now on. Now, the only difference between these ones in the screen and the ones that I'm wearing right now is that I butchered them because I made some modifications to kind of simulate the open back feeling. Way besides the point, I'm kind of digressing here, so sorry. What I'm trying to get at is that these are amazing headphones. They are a little bit more pricey. However, here, as you can see, you have a pretty nice bundle. They have a carrying case, which is actually the same carrying case that I got when I bought this about, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And they come with an extra cable and this right here, an amplifier or a DAC. Okay, this one comes with a free, well, not free, but included in the price DAC. And FiiO is actually a pretty decent brand for DACs, so that's pretty good. So you can get all these items and as a single bundle. I highly recommend these headphones. These are excellent. These are actually really popular. You might be able to recognize these headphones from many music videos. I have seen them in, I don't even know how many, I have lost count. In tons of music videos, you see people, the musicians or the singers wearing this exact model of headphones. Now, these are modular. You can remove the cables and switch them. As you can see, these are coiled. That is actually pretty long. This one is another straight cable. It's actually very long as well. I'm not sure if this bundle includes it, but mine did. A third one that is actually kind of short, so I'm not sure if they replace it with the blue one or if it also will come inside the box, because it is an official Audio-Technica cable as well. Anyway, moving on. Now, the next headphones in the list is are the HIFIMAN. Yes, that's an actual brand, and these are actually really good as well. Like I said, I try to get the best ratings and brands that I personally recognize. Anyway, HIFIMAN HE400SE. These have some special technology that have to do with magnets. It really doesn't matter. They look like they are wireless, but no, they are not wireless. They are wired headphones, as you can see here from the description. Now, these are excellent. They are pretty comfortable. They are rather big though, so you might want to keep that in mind. They're not as expensive as the Audio-Technica because the Audio-Technica comes in a bundle and these ones don't. However, if you would like to have the Audio-Technica without the bundle, they cost exactly the same price. These are, again, open back, so excellent sound stage, excellent sound all around. These are even considered audiophile grade headphones, so pretty good option. Moving on to the next one, we have the Beyerdynamic DT 990 Pro. Beyerdynamic is, I consider it like a BMW of headphones. This is a very prestigious brand. These are super comfortable. They have an excellent sound. They are open back as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind about these ones, though, is that it is available in 2 different versions and the colors as well. It looks super good in black, by the way. Anyway, important to mention, I know I don't like to get too technical, but in this case it is important. There is an 80 ohm version and a 250 ohm version. This refers to the impedance of the headphones, and in very general simplistic terms, it means that the 80 ohms requires a not as powerful DAC or amplifier as the 250 ohms. So basically, the higher the impedance, or the higher the number of the impedance, the better the DAC needs to be. Obviously, the higher the impedance, the better the sound as well. However, you should not, even though the number is very big in difference, you should not be expecting a super high difference in the quality of the sound. The sound signature of these versions should be almost identical. Basically, the only difference between these two is the type of DAC that you will require. So do keep in mind that I believe this is the same price even between the two. Well, actually, no, the higher impedance one is a little bit cheaper. So you could, keep that in mind if you want to save a couple of bucks. I think it was just $20. One thing though, if you go for the higher impedance one, like I said, you need a better DAC, which means that you will only be able to listen to your music through a good DAC. You will not be able to connect them. Actually, either version, you will not be able to connect them to a mobile device, except maybe the LGs that have a built-in DAC, but that's, again, I digress. This is basically a headphone that you need a DAC with, period. Like I said, you need a better DAC the higher the impedance. So, moving on. Now, the Sennheiser 660S, HD660X, these now we're moving up in price quite a bit. These are $500 headphones. These are a favorite among audiophiles, and you will get an amazing experience. Again, these ones require a DAC as well. They have an impedance of 150 ohms, which means that you kind of do need a somewhat powerful DAC to get the best experience out of them. That's not to say that you will not hear anything when you connect it directly to a computer, but like I said, the volume would probably be way too low for you to be able to enjoy them. So get a DAC with these ones. You will not be disappointed if you do go for this pair. Now, moving on. Now, last two headphones in the list before we go on to the Baller edition, and before the Baller edition we go to the DACs. These are the HD560S. These are not as expensive as the 660S, but they are quite good as well. Now, these ones, of course, do perform much better with a DAC. However, this can somewhat be enjoyed if using without a DAC. I do not recommend it, but you could, kind of get some quality sound if you really crank up the volume on your devices. Again, I don't recommend it. I do recommend using a DAC always with these kinds of headphones. Now, these are kind of stylish. Some people will kind of complain that these are not very adjustable. You can extend them, and you can somewhat vertically rotate the ear cups, but these are not too amazing in comfort, according to some people. Other people claim that these are actually really comfortable, but not for very long sessions. So that's kind of one thing to keep in mind. And yeah, one thing that I like about these ones is that it has a cable only on one side, kind of like this one. It only has a cable on the left ear cup. Anyway, still an excellent sounding signature headphones. So they still have an excellent sound signature, so you will really enjoy these headphones. Now, the next one, and almost finishing with the Sennheiser headphones, the 569 close back. This is a slightly cheaper version of the 560s. However, this is a closed back. All the previous ones that we have been looking at are open back. This one and the M50X are the only ones that are closed back on this list. Like I said, you might enjoy your music better if you use an open back headphone, but there's the privacy issues, there's the sound leakage issues. You might disrupt somebody or annoy anybody that's near or close to you, so nearby. And the closed back, well, they provide better privacy. You don't disrupt anybody, you don't annoy anyone, and so and so. So these ones also have an excellent sound signature. They are about the same price as the M50X that I have here, as long as you don't buy them in a bundle. So really another important thing about these ones, just as well as this one, as the M50X, the HD569 can also be driven, or you can also be used directly with a computer or a mobile device that has a headphone jack. These have a low impedance, meaning at 23 ohms it does not, or they do not need a DAC. A DAC is not mandatory for these ones. Again, just like with all the headphones here, you will get a much better sound experience if you do use a DAC. However, these ones, the HD569 and the M50X Audio-Technica, they do not require a DAC. They do benefit from it, again, but they do not require it. Okay, so now we go on to the DACs. Alright, so we're gonna continue now with the DACs or amplifiers. Now, drop me a comment if you're watching this far, I really appreciate you. And let's move on. Now, like I said, the DACs are needed because these are high-end headphones and they pretty much require a lot of power to properly sound. Otherwise, your headphones will not have a very high volume and you will not be able to appreciate the music that you're trying to listen to, right? Now, the first DAC that we have here is the FX Audio DAC X6 Mini Hi-Fi. Okay, like I said, these have very complex descriptions in their names, but what you need to know is that this one has 3 inputs, as you can see here in the image. The top is the front and the bottom is the back, and basically you can select, you have a switch for the power on. I can't point you in the direction with it, no, sorry. Anyway, you have the first switch, which is the power, and then the second switch, which you can use to select the sound source. I really like that these switches are like kind of retro, and like you can see here, you can select from optical, USB, and coaxial. So basically the USB is whatever sound comes from your computer when you connect it through USB. The optical means that you can use them to connect to any optical input, which is probably any sound system. Your TV has optical outputs, your game consoles have optical outputs. This is a very old technology, so you can pretty much have optical cables or connections in a lot of devices. Coaxial is a type of somewhat digital signal that comes in the cables that look like the RCA type connectors, just like the ones that says R out and L out. So another benefit of this one is that you can connect this amp or this DAC directly to some speakers if you would want to. But the main reason that we would get this one is for the headphone jack. Is the thick version of the headphone jack plug, and I really like that it has a volume knob. I tried to select all of these with volume knobs. I really don't like the digital controls. That's just my preference. I hope that this is not an inconvenience for you. I really prefer the control that you have when you have a knob that you can turn to your heart's content. All right, moving on. This one is pretty affordable. I said moving on, and I continue with this one. These are pretty affordable. This is one of the least expensive ones that we have here. It has an excellent rating, and you really should not be disappointed with this one. Okay, now moving on. The next one is the FiiO. Like I said, FiiO is a pretty good brand of DACs. This is the E10K, sorry. And it is also USB DAC, and it's a headphone amplifier. It's a little bit more simple than the previous one. It only has USB input. Oh, yeah, it only has USB input, and you can connect it to line out, for meaning that you can use a 3.5mm jack to connect it to either external speakers or another set of headphones. And you have the coaxial out, which is a digital. I don't know why you would use it really with this type of amplifier. What really interests us for the scope of this video is that it has the headphone jack here in the front, and also the volume knob, which I mentioned before, is pretty convenient to be able to have that kind of control. Pretty specific control. All right, moving on. The Fosi is similar to the first one that we saw in price. You can actually save 10% right now at the moment of filming this video if you apply the coupon. And it also has 3 inputs: a USB, a optical, and the coaxial. So very similar in functionality, with the very important difference that this one has a bass control and a treble control in case you would want to adjust or somewhat equalize that aspect of your sound. This would be very beneficial if you buy some reference headphones. I did not mention any reference headphones here specifically. The M50X, the Audio-Technica M50X, are technically reference headphones, which is one of the reasons why they are so popular among musicians. However, they are kind of bass heavy for reference headphones. And let me explain. Reference headphones refers to headphones that have no special equalization, meaning that they are not either bass heavy or treble heavy, meaning that the sound is technically flat, which basically means that the headphones sound, or the music in these headphones sound exactly like the artist intended. Now, many headphones that are bass heavy are popular among people that like specifically hip hop or rap or any type of underground music, so to speak. So those types of headphones tend to be bass heavy, kind of like the Dr. Dre's Beats by Dr. Dre. Those headphones are notoriously bass heavy. These ones are reference headphones, but they are a little bit bass heavy, not too much. But they make it much more enjoyable in this case because it's not too bass heavy. Now, if you have a reference headphone, meaning that it's a flat signature, and you would like to add a little bit of bass or a little bit of treble, then you can use an amplifier like this one that has that extra control for the bass and treble. So that's the added benefit of this one. The connector for the headphone jack, however, is only the 3.5 millimeters, so you might want to look at or take that into consideration, because sometimes, not often, but sometimes these reference or these high-end headphones come only with a 1/4-inch plug, which is a lot thicker than the 3.5 millimeters. So most of them are hybrid, meaning that they are originally 3.5 millimeter and they come with an adapter to make it 1/4 quarter or 1/4-inch, but something to keep in mind, right? I don't want to meddle too much or dwell too much into each, so I'm going to move on right now. The next one, this is one of my top choices, even though it's a little bit more, well, it's a lot more expensive. It's actually pretty much twice as expensive as the previous ones. This one, however, has a very special bonus. There's a car driving by. Sorry. It's actually a big truck. As I was saying, this one have a very special added bonus, and that is that these have a built-in battery that lasts up to 6 hours. So this is an excellent option. This is probably the best option if you want to use them with a mobile device like a smartphone or even your laptop on the go. This can be, they're also powered by USB, but if you connect them, for example, to a smartphone, then they do require extra power, which the battery provides in this case. So these are excellent for traveling with your headphones, or being on the go with the laptop or in your smartphone, whatever you want to listen to music from. So you can connect both the 3.5 millimeter and the 1/4-inch headphones to this one. You have the volume knob to control the volume, and you have the modes and the power on and whatnot. So again, this would be my top choice because it has the battery. Now on to the last one before we go into the baller edition, the EPOS Sennheiser GSX 1000. Now this is a pretty high-end DAC. It's just, I think, $10 more than the previous one, but there's a very important difference in this one. This one has 7.1 surround sound, and the reason that it has 7.1 7.1 surround sound is that you can use them for gaming. Now, if you have a high-end headphone, you connect it to this amp and you enable it 7.1 surround, not only can you enjoy music better, just a parenthesis here, I would not enable 7.1 audio for the music, just wanted to clear that out. But what I'm trying to say is that you have these high-end headphones and you want to game, you can use this amplifier to enable the 7.1 surround, and you're going to have a competitive advantage when it comes to games that to games in which the sound would help you have a better sense of where your enemies are. For example, first-person shooters, when you are sneaking behind somebody or somebody is trying to sneak up behind you, you would be able to better sense the location of the other player coming at you. So this is like a double win because you can use it for gaming and you can also use it to amplify the music for your headphones. Again, if you do listen to music with this, do not enable the 7.1. Maybe some of you might like it. I guess it's subjective, but the 7.1 is not meant for music. It's meant only for gaming or watching movies, which again, watching movies on a high-end headphone is gonna be a pretty good experience. And I almost forget, I was going to head into the baller edition, but I do have a couple of honorable mentions. And this is the FiiO Q3, which is a pretty nice amplifier. It's a little bit pricier than the one we saw before. However, this has also a super good rating of 4.5 out of 5. And this one is connected to USB-C, so a mother connection. And it supports both sizes of the headphone plugs, so the 3.5 and the 1/4 inch. So a pretty good option by a pretty good brand. And last but not least, an audio interface. Now this is not a DAC per se, and I don't know why okay, here we go. Had to wait a little bit there for the site to load, but the Scarlett Solo is an interface. Now, an interface is something that you connect to your computer, or in some cases you can also connect it to your mobile device. And the purpose of the interface is actually to enable input of a microphone. For example, I have here a dynamic microphone that connects through this type of cable, which is called a XLR cable, which is the one you see on the screen, and that has 3 pins. So this type of microphone is meant for professional use. For example, like me here making this video for you. If you want to record singing, or if you want to record a podcast or whatever, you need a way to input microphone of a higher quality into your computer. So the interface does just that. The added bonus of the interface is that it also works as a sound card. So, or in this case, a DAC amplifier. Okay, so you can connect your headphone into the plugs. There's the headphone icon right there. You have the volume knob to control the volume, and you have additional knobs to control the gain of the inputs. So you can, in this one, you can connect a microphone, and you can also connect an instrument if you want to. Now, why I chose to suggest this interface, which is not a DAC, it is not portable. I mean, it is small, but I really wouldn't see myself carrying this around, to a cafe or something like that. It's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to remain on your desk while you record with a microphone and monitor your recording. And like I said, you can also use it as a DAC or amplifier. So if you need to have a way to connect a professional microphone to your computer, and you also want to enjoy listening to music, then this device pretty much does both things, and it does them very well. Okay, so now on to the baller edition. And this is the Sennheiser HD800S. Now I'm going to show you in just a second why I call this the baller edition. Let me just close these other tabs and take a look at the price on this little bad boy. $1,600, almost $1,700. Now, these are extremely popular headphones. They are also open back. They have an amazing sound signature. They are reference headphones, so do keep in mind, like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, it means that they are flat, but they sound as close as you can imagine to how the artist meant or intended their music to sound. So again, you can try some equalization to the headphones or whatnot, but if you want the truly best sound with the truly best sound signature and excellent soundstage, these are pretty much one of the best headphones that you can buy if you can afford them. Now, of course, a headphone of this caliber requires a DAC of a similar caliber. Now, Sennheiser sells some DACs that are well over $2,000. I'm not going to suggest that one. Instead, I'm going to suggest this one right here. This is a DAC or amplifier made by Universal Audio. Now, this is called the Apollo Solo, and there are two versions of this one that cost exactly the same. Now, what you need to know about the two different versions is that although they both connect through USB-C, one uses the Thunderbolt 3 connector of the USB-C, and the other one uses the normal USB-C. Now, again, I know I'm getting a little bit technical, but this is important, that's why I'm mentioning it. The Thunderbolt 3 is the type of USB-C that, this one right here that you see. It is very standard. Usually Thunderbolt connectors have this lightning bolt signal or icon right above the plug. Now, computers that have this typically are MacBooks, some very recent Intel computers. If you do not know for sure if you have a Thunderbolt connector, then I would suggest that you just get the USB version, which also has the same type of cable connector. As you can see, it's also USB-C, however it is not Thunderbolt 3. If you get the Thunderbolt 3 version and your computer does not support Thunderbolt, it's not going to work properly. One main difference why you may want the Thunderbolt 3 version if your computer supports it is that I don't know if you notice it, but the USB version requires a 12-volt connector adapter, power adapter, and it has a power switch, whereas the Thunderbolt 3 version only has the Thunderbolt 3 connector and it does not need a power adapter. Alright, so there are more expensive versions of the Universal Audio Apollo, but for the amount of money you're already paying for the Sennheiser's HD800S, this is more than enough. You will have an excellent, amazing sound signature, you have amazing sound stage, and amazing experience overall. You really can't go wrong with this one. So, if you watched this far, let me know which ones are your favorite headphones, which ones you will be getting. I hope you do, because, commissions. And seriously, I really Seriously, I really hope that you found this video useful. If you did, go ahead and give a little tickle to that like button, if you will. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Like I said, I make tech videos for the common user, try not to get too technical. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. I really hope to see you in the next one, and in the meantime, may God bless you. Take care.